And we're live. How about you give us an intro there, Lee?
Righto. Well, we're here at Comics Unbound. It's a Saturday morning here in Australia. It's a Friday night over there where Dustin's at. Dustin's showing off his long locks for us this evening because he's got two champions here that have solar panels on their head. So he just thought he'd get in and be cheeky. Now, mate, we are one of my favourite people in Australian comics is on the show today, Mr. Dave Dye. And how are you, sir?
Good, thanks, mate. And thank you very much for inviting me on.
No, that's cool, man. Anytime. Now, Dave, I've got to tell you, g'day, Pete. He's a champion. I've got, in case any of you have ever looked in the background of behind me here on Saturday mornings, there's two drawings that are just there, and they are Dave Dye's drawings. So yes, I'm a little bit of a fan of Dave. I've been lucky enough to get myself some of those, and I want to show this to you today because this is out. I got a copy of Dave and Roger Stitson's new comic book Time Fault. So I want to have a little yarn to Dave about that today, and I'll pop it up and show you some beautiful black and white interior artwork, and look at that lovely cover. Oh, that's good stuff. Hey, look at you go, Dave. Champion.
Thanks, mate.
All right. So on with the show. What's happening, Dustin?
Oh, on with the show. Oh, geez. Spotlight on me. Nothing, man. I'm just getting this website together. The listener is about $100 away from being funded this issue. I'm very, very excited about that. If you guys get the opportunity to check it out, it's live on Kickstarter right now. We've got about 2 weeks left. I want to say hey to Peter. I want to say hey to Mike. Bonjour to the Facebook user. I wish I knew who you were, but it's not showing. Peter, Shawnee's so cool. B Attack. I don't know what that means. Maybe you guys know better than me. But
your guess is as good as mine on that one, mate.
So tonight, having Dave on. It's JT. What's going on, JT? We love JT Malloy. He's a team member of ours over at Ethereal. Great dude. Really, really cool fellow. I'm sorry. Don't attack me with bees. Thank you, Shawnee. You're so sweet. So as we sit here and we're talking to Dave tonight, I'm going to bring up some cool stuff, a couple topics I want to get into. Normally we BS with one or two things a show, questions, comments, whatever. But tonight I'd like to talk to you guys about villains and what makes villains so relevant in storytelling. I've got a couple right now that are pretty wild. Recently, you got a lot of folks have been getting their copies of Babes Going Dinosaurs 2, and that's got a snippet in it. We put 6 additional pages in there with the Stitches storyline, and we show off our new antagonist in that. How's it going? We show off the new antagonist for Stitches. Really, really stoked about him. He's absolutely terrifying. And he's terrifying because of the fact that he doesn't quite feel like he's a bad guy. You know what I mean? So, and that's one of the things that's really scary about him. And he's abducting young female characters, which is quite scary enough in itself. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Dave's new book. Then we'll get into some villain stuff. And then we'll talk about what Lee's got going on. We'll also talk about a new project that Ethereal's got coming out, 2 new projects. And a new book from us. Who'd have thunk it, right? So let's go ahead and we'll let Lee run the show on this one because he's a lot more familiar with Dave's work. I love Dave Dye. He's a great artist, guys. Really good storyteller. If you get the opportunity, check it out. Thanks, JT. I really appreciate that, brother. I really appreciate that with all my heart.
What'd that say there, mate? I couldn't read that. You're too quick.
My fault. BGD is my favorite indie book. Not just saying that. That's JT. JT is a member of the team. He's a beautiful human being. We love working with that guy. He's got some projects coming out with us shortly as well, and a new cover coming up for If It Hops at the end of this month. We're in April now, right?
He's an artist, is he, mate?
Yes, sir. He's an absolutely awesome artist. He's a great dude, solid artist. Really good taste in music, that fella too.
Right.
Over on to you though, Lee. We'll let you have it.
All right, mate. Now, in case anyone watching sees Dave reach above the computer screen or behind it, Dave has what's affectionately known amongst us that know Dave as a portal. So basically, any Australian comic book that you even like sniff or have a mention, Dave will pull it from behind his computer, and we've yet to see how deep that closet is. But Mr. Di, now I haven't seen you in a while, mate, and yeah, I was pretty excited to see. In the past, I've been lucky enough to see some of that artwork for Time Fault. Like shown here and there on various shows we've done together. But I finally got myself a copy of it yesterday afternoon.
Here's the cover, mate.
Look at that. Artwork. Hey, mate, that's acrylic on paper.
That's watercolor.
Oh, it's watercolor. Beautiful.
Yeah.
How long did that take you, mate?
A couple of days.
Yeah.
I think a day or two. From draft to finished product. It's on watercolor paper.
The old horror stuff. Like what am I thinking? Like of the 70s and whatnot. The movies. What was the vampire movie called? Oh, I can't think of it. Really cool though. Beautiful, beautiful piece. Absolutely.
Well, you're talking about villains, mate. There's a villain.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about them, Dave? What do you feel when you think of a villain?
Well, most of with my stories, because I don't have superhero type. I don't dwell in that sort of world of superheroes and that. I sort of live in a more human world, so most of my villains are human beings. Although, with my Amazing Tales series.
And this is the portal, people.
There, just reach into the portal. With the Amazing Tales, I do have the odd monster appear, as you can see from that reaching in there. That's the horror. And this one here, I've got this story here is called The Mummy's Curse. So you got mummies and
that's too cool.
And the page back from there, we've got a werewolf.
That's super good. That's a good werewolf, man.
He's a were-dingo. We don't have wolves in Australia, so he's a were-dingo, mate.
Now you're going to take us down that portal of the marsupials. Howling 3 marsupials. They had the kangaroo werewolves, like the wombat werewolves that had
we got all that over here, mate. Drop bears, the works. This is a bunyip. You heard of a bunyip?
I have, yes, sir. Funny enough, I actually wrote a story about a bunyip for the listener because our book deals with all theologies and mystical beings and stuff like that. So I'll have fun with that one.
So I've got a mix of villains in my books.
I love it. Do you find any of them scary? Like, do you find a character scary at all?
No, not really, because I suppose I know them.
Right on. So, one reason I wanted to bring that up is because a bunch of people, like I said, the BGD2 is just getting to people right now, and a bunch of people have been asking me, you're incredible, Sean. We're going to have to talk about that.
What's he say about a bunyip?
She said she's got a awesome piece of original artwork of a bunyip.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Original art.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so my thing with villains is I think the more realistic villains are scarier than any other villain. You know what I mean? We've got a character that we're about to show in Greed issue 3 that's actually a child that was brought up in World War I, but he's been possessed by the sin wrath willingly. So the child is literally just the most evil being that's ever, think like a possessed child, you know what I mean? All decked out in Nazi apparel and stuff. He's just not a nice kid. Super, super mean kid. And, as I was writing the character, I was like, this is the scariest thing I've ever written because he's got the strength of, like, let's say he's got the strength of Superman and he's just the most evil little shit ever, right? But right now,
Mom and Dad would be proud, mate.
Well, he kills them, so you'll get to see that happen. Yeah. So you'll actually get to see that in the trade paperback of The Listener coming out. That's live right now, because the stories in the additional pages we added for that.
How many pages in that whole?
Oh my gosh. In the trade paperback, there's 24, so 72 plus 34, 106 plus 20, about 130 pages in that one.
Ooh,
all full color.
Good. That's quite a bit there to get through, mate.
Yeah. Well, it's issues 1 through 4 plus the Geese Journal we put in there.
Extras.
So that's gonna be a really good one, and it'll be a great way for folks that have never read the listener stuff to catch up and get involved with those books. But I feel like villains have evolved with us as we've been producing books. I've been reading comic books forever. Absolutely, Shawnee. Shawnee says, I agree. Real life villains are way scarier because you can totally see yourself running into one of them at some point. Absolutely, right? That's the scariest stuff. I mean, we can dismiss the supernatural scary stuff, right? We really can. But like everybody's hyped about If It Hops, which drops later this month. I'm hyped about If It Hops dropping later this month. Complex, sympathetic villains are cool, but I always prefer psychopathic. You have a crazy psychopath in your book right now there, JT. JT's actually got his book running on Kickstarter right now, The Sapphire Spectre. Beautiful book, guys. I actually had that opportunity to read issue 3. A lot of fun. His villain is great. She's so good. But we all have a way of delving into our inner psyche to find the villain, I think. And with the one we've got coming up right now, it's pretty brutal. And it may be the darkest thing I've written yet, and you've seen from any of the guys that work on our team. So I'm very, very excited to give you guys that later this month. And like I said, don't forget the listeners coming out. Well, it's out now. Trade paperback's running right now. But and Shawnee was so kind enough to share that earlier. But let's talk about where like the mythos began with your books, Dave. When did you start putting out comic books, man? What drew you into comic books?
Well,
that bitch is Dave Dye. Where did you come from in comic books?
Well, I started producing my own when I got out of the army in 2011. So it's been a bit over 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
It's gone pretty quick. So yeah, in that time I've put out quite a number of, I've got a fistful here of comics, and they're mine. It's plus more up here, and
the portal. Gotcha.
Yeah, we got the Anzac Legend, the Cut Down. We got the Tales of the Blue. That's a 100-page graphic novel. That's a World War II.
I remember seeing the Amazing Tales.
Yeah. That you might be interested in that one, mate. That's it.
Cool.
Awori.
To let everyone know, the first comic he put up there, the Anzac Legend, which there you go right here,
big old
was
book,
nominated last year for a Ledger Award, which is an Australian-based award for high honours in cartooning and comic books. So
cool was that?
Dave did himself well there, and I've got a copy of that, and it's a bloody great book too. So
I love that.
You can get that on a thing called Owner Indie in the comics shop. So check that out if anyone of you want to get your hands on some Dave Dye.
Fantastic.
This was the first thing I did when I got out, the Anzac Legend, because it's based on history. It's a history book, really. It's not a graphic novel. It's a graphic history. So it's the story of the landing at Gallipoli.
Now you do all of it, don't you, Dave? You do the lettering, all of it.
Yeah, it's all lettered, all hand lettered, and all.
Hand lettered.
I do all the research, all the writing, and all the art. It's all maps and diagrams and stuff in here. But this is a different style of thing to what might normally put out now. But that was something I had to do when I got out of the army, because I was very interested in the story of it's one of Australia's biggest campaigns, or one of the ones that we always talk about anyway.
Yes,
we have a whole day dedicated to Anzac Day. We commemorate it every year in Australia.
That's phenomenal.
So
I love that people support the things that their heroes have done. You know what I mean? And the men that lived it. That's such a cool experience. I mean, those of you guys that know me and the listener know how far back and how tied into my family that is. So that's a really fantastic thing, man. I can say that seeing we have a lot of teammates right now that some of them go by hand and do a lot of their artwork by hand, like Leigh. You know what I mean? Owen, Andy, you're so good, Shawnee.
Yeah.
Look at you,
Yeah,
Shawnee
Shawnee.
champion.
She's so awesome.
Shawnee. That's the girl?
Yep.
Very nice, Shawnee. And thank you very much. You're in America and you've contacted that. That's great, isn't it? Internet's a fantastic thing.
That's one of the big things that we do. We desperately want to bridge the gaps and show people in different parts of the world how awesome talents are from different places. I've been very grateful that we've been able to do this between Leigh and I. We've shown people some amazing talent, yourself included. But one thing that that fascinates me about what you do, and it fascinated me the last time that we talked, was the fact that you letter by hand. That is the craziest thing in the world to me. Shawnee, above and beyond, dude. Like above and beyond.
Yeah. Good on you, Shawnee. Yeah, good. There's a page that I've done. This will be in the next. That's all hand lettered, as you can see.
Hand letter all of it, and you have like a really cool tool for your pages, don't you?
Oh well, that's just to help you with your line spacing. You know, anyone who's done lettering will know about one of these things.
Don't say that, because a bunch of my letterer is digital. Don't. My letterer is not doing by hand.
That just helps you with the spacing of your lines. That's all that does. But it's very handy for that. It saves you having to measure it up each time with a ruler and getting your dots in and then ruling it this way.
What is that called? Is there a name for that little contraption?
That's cool. This is not in America. I've seen them advertised. They call them an Ames lettering guide. Ames lettering guide, but this is a different make. This one's I haven't got my specs on. Hang on, let me put my eyes on here. This is a Linux, but it's just the same thing.
Right on. That's so cool. So what this latest book that you've got, right, that you've been showed us the awesome cover for, what inspired that book? Can you tell us a little bit about it, what you've got going on with that project?
Roger Stitson wrote that. He's I first met Roger when we did this one together, Cut Down. This is like a Hitchcock story, Twilight Zone. He calls it Twilight Zone.
Right on.
You know the Twilight Zone. Everyone knows
absolutely, yes, sir.
So that story was written for a film festival, and he didn't get made into a film, so he decided to make it into a comic. So that was that Cut Down. Since then, because he's a writer and a ex-teacher, and he's a pretty cluey sort of bloke, he knows what's going on and knows how to write a story and edit and do all these sort of things. So he wrote that story, we did that, and then we collaborated on another one here. This one's called The Blue Sage. This is a Western. So that one's in colour. So he asked me to do the art for that one.
Now, am I correct, Dave, that's got a Ben Sullivan cover on it?
Yeah. Ben Sullivan did the cover for that.
Yeah.
So cool.
Nice cut. Yeah, beautiful. That's a watercolour, I think.
Yeah.
And so Roger was doing his third comic and approached me again. He did ask a couple of other artists to do it, and they fell off the bloody track somehow. And so he approached me again, asked me if I could do Time Fault for him. I read the story and I thought, it's a great story. So, okay, we'll get into it. And that's how I got involved with that. I've done a few stories with Roger. He's a good writer.
Yeah, mate, it's a 48-page story, yeah. So it's not a small comic book.
Let me see. Is it 48? Yeah, 48 pages. Is that right?
We call that a giant size over here is what we call that.
Have you got it there, Leigh? I can't remember. Was it 48
mate, I got it.
That's double the size of what a normal book is for us. Like if I do extra pages, we might hit 30, we might hit 32 because we normally do 24.
Yeah,
I love that cover. I can't get over the cover.
I even got a lovely letter from Roger with it as well. So this is the lovely stuff, mate, that you get. Dave Dye sends letters out too, and I got this one from Roger. So it says, "Hi Lee, thanks for ordering Timefault. Hope you like it. Regards, Roger and Dave." You know, so
How cool is
look
that?
at the little handwritten thing, mate. Champions.
Couple of X's on the bottom.
Well, I don't know him that well, Dave. But mate, I got to tell you, just let me show you this. Not only do you see this wonderful cover, but you open up to this first page. Now, that's a cracker. And I've been privy enough to work to be mates with Dave for a while now, because we've done a lot of episodes of an Australian show through Comex called Friday Night Drink and Draw. So I have seen this gentleman here. I'm a slow artist. Now,
you lie, talk all that shit, slow artist.
Oh, no, I am. I really am.
All kinds of shit.
I have been, mate, this man can pump out drawings in an hour, penciled and inked and finished. Like that drawing right there is a Friday Night Drink and Draw. So look at that. 1 hour. And that's one of my characters. I was lucky enough.
Oh, y'all messed around Battle for Bustle over there, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's a backstory there called Marathon. But yeah, that was 1 hour that Dave did.
Looks good in the frame, mate. That's good, mate. I like it.
Oh, mate, I'm not gonna not frame one of your pieces of artwork. I know, mate. If I hadn't had a belt on that day, my pants I would have lost everything when I got that in the mail. Bloody hell, I was that excited. Yeah, but no, mate, great stuff, and it's an ongoing joke that I'm the like head of Dave's fan club too.
Hey man, you need to wave that flag proudly, right? You can around with that one.
I do. That's why I'm excited to see Dave today, because I haven't seen him for a while. I've been off doing my own thing for a couple of months.
You see my head expanding, getting bigger and bigger. Look,
we don't want you getting that big, Dave, because you've got Dinky outside. Dinky's Dave's horse, so you've got to get out the door to feed Dinky today, mate. So at some point, so let's.
That's right.
As we were talking about villains there, Lee, what's your take on a villain? What makes a villain?
Oh man, I like a lot of villains. I've got to be honest with you. The first one that I gravitated to that was Skeletor. I thought he was one of those evil dickheads, really. You know what I mean? Like, had all the greatest ideas in the world, but was just a bit of a bumbling twit. So I sort of liked that he had a little bit of ticker there, you know. He should have given up the game, but the man just kept going, you know. So he was devoted to evil. Yeah. In time gone by, I would probably I do very much find the highly intelligent, you get those villains, okay, like bring him up, someone that I think spins me out, is like totally evil. Let's not get me wrong, but you've got someone like an Adolf Hitler who was evil as could possibly be.
For sure.
But the man used to paint and read classic novels and was, studied art and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But had this crazy penchant to just be, do
Sounds
what he
like
did.
You're talking about me, mate.
Oh, Dave, get out of here. And,
I love art. I studied art.
No, but just those intellectual people that should know better, but they choose. They go down the wrong road. So I've always appreciated them. I've got a main villain in Battle for Bustle, and he's called A1. And he's highly intelligent, yet Oh yeah, mate, the one with the wires in his eyes, and he's a case of just one of those people that should know better, but just doesn't care. It's
a lot like Hellraiser.
Oh man, I find those to be the best villains. The ones that you do question, why are you evil? You could be doing so much good in the world. You know what I mean?
To be fair, bringing that particular type of bad guy up, outside of the fact that they're killing people and tearing them to pieces and whatnot, I Clive Barker never went as so far as to say they were evil. It was like it was all a sexual orientation for them. You know what I mean? Before he killed people, he would be like, we could show you such pleasures. You know what I mean? And that's a real deep rabbit hole that we could get down at one point. I don't want to subject Dave to that kind of shenanigans. That's a deep rabbit hole. I'm with you though on the villains and whatnot, and the scarier villains, like Shawnee mentioned earlier, are intelligent. You know what I mean? The rabid monster running around killing people because its instinct makes them do that. I don't think that's very scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You look at people. You look at the history. What's that movie, Silence of the Lambs? That bloke, Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter. Yeah.
For sure.
That's a villain. If ever, he's just in his
head.
And
brilliant. Sadly, the actor
normal.
Is the young Hannibal just passed away recently.
All right. Yeah.
The gentleman that played him in the prequel, Hannibal Rising.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, I didn't see that. No.
Oh, great film. Yeah. Really, really good film. Yeah. It goes into why he is what he is, how he becomes, a killer. The first time he eats cheeks and talks about cheeks and Chianti.
Is that like a lot of these villains? We're talking about real people now.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have bad upbringing, a bad start to life. And you have a look around society at the moment. There's a lot of people getting a bad start to life.
Yeah.
What are we looking at in the future? There's going to be a lot of possibility of a lot of bloody nutcases running around. It's not their fault. It's just they could, like Leigh was saying earlier, you come to a fork in the road. You can go left or you can go right. A lot of if you had a bad upbringing, you go the bad side, not the good side.
Absolutely.
JT, how scary is that? I mean, knowing the world of Sapphire Spectre, that's like a almost like a what do you call it? Like an addiction to an individual. They're obsessed with them. That could definitely be a villain for your universe. It's a cool concept, man.
Well, you look at the people. We had a case in Australia a year or two ago, and it's in the courts at the moment, where a bloke killed his kids and his wife by setting them on fire. Now, I'm sure, and there's films of him with his kids. I bet he loved his kids, but why would you do that?
I mean, that's the scary people, right? The people like
what we're talking about.
I have friends that are medicated and stuff, and they can't. They lose it. Look at what's that guy's name? Years ago, Chris Benoit, the wrestler, right? Talking about loving his family, and everybody thought he loved them, and all the mess he was on and stuff. He turned around and killed his whole family, and then killed himself. That's terrifying. I think that we're in line with something like that for Stitches, and I think people will enjoy it. It's the character is literally building a suit out of flesh, so he's kidnapping individuals and using them to build his suit. It's kind of interesting stuff. I've had a lot of fun with that.
I tell you something. Sorry, Dustin.
Yeah, you're fine, man.
Mate. When I was a young fella at school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. One of my mates in the footy team, his old man was a padre, like a sky pilot, and he you're very quiet sort of bloke. Old Jimmy, his name, James, and one time never heard much about him after I left school. Then I came back home because I was working away from home. Came back and I picked up the newspaper. I was reading it, and what? My mate had killed his mum and dad. And then, because he's high on drugs.
Yeah.
he got high on drugs, and he'd been reading Lord of the Rings was a big one back then. This was just when Lord of the Rings was coming out, and he'd gone into this, and he's on drugs, and then he went and killed his mum and dad, and or something about him walking along the beach or something. Oh, you just wouldn't have believed it.
So, well, he must have thought they were orcs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, who knows?
He's got to take them out at Mordor. You know what I mean? I'm with you.
Mate, I think there's a certain point, it could be any time really. Pressures are all different throughout, grades of history. You know what I mean? There's technical pressure. There's pressure to be, like the next.
Build that website.
I've got I need a new car, keeping up with the Joneses, as they say. The pressure I think builds up on everyone over a period of time, and some people can adapt to that differently. Some people snap. Look, mate. Like the wonderful things about creativity is that we can take those pressures that we're under out on a, like pen and paper and stuff, or the paintbrush and, or the keyboard doing writing and stuff like that. So, like people that create things, whether it be sculpture or paintings or, like absolutely anything, creativity is a whole, man, it's not just one thing.
Your depression, your pains and stuff like you just mentioned, that we put it out in a form of creation one way or another. I mean, one of my favorite periods in art was Picasso's Blue period. You know what I mean? And, depression ruled that man's life. You know what I mean? Like it was huge in his life, and he created these we look at them as beautiful pieces. And he looked at them as almost like exiling demons and stuff from his own.
The Blue Boy. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I was a huge fan. I'll say this. I worked at the First Museum for a few years and was very lucky enough to see some of those originals see that downstairs when we were bringing them in and whatnot before we took them up to place them. You'd see the guys that were fixing them, you know what I mean, and bringing them back to life and stuff downstairs.
Restoration. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The restorations, like the system is so cool. But one day I was down there and they were like, "Hey, Dustin, did you know that he was so poor that he would paint over his other paintings?" And I was like, "Are you kidding?" And they were like, "Look, you can see them underneath."
Yeah,
like that's so insane. But
he's not the only one that's done that, mate. I'm pretty sure Van Gogh was another one used to do that. They'd have moments. But there's an Australian dude that I fell in love with, John Mulvig. He was army dude back from the Second World War and stuff. And
Mulvig, was it?
Mulvig. That's him, mate. And it was one of those cases of I was in Brisbane, and which is capital city of Queensland for anyone who sees, and they've got the Queensland Art Museum, and decided to go there one day. I was by myself. I was down there doing some business, and walked in there. And when you go in somewhere and you just you can that's nice, and you wander through, and then sometimes you leave quickly, not really meaning it, just nothing catches your attention.
Right.
Well, this was a case of. About 5 hours later, like I had attendance and stuff at the museum, like sort of there's 3 or 4 of them coming into the room where I am because I've been sitting on this chair, staring at this artwork, and blew my mind. But he was another dude that from reading his books and stuff and researching him since was just a gentleman that, his way of dealing with life and stuff was, like through creation and painting. And some of his paintings, some people could say they're ugly, but there's a beauty in them, like there's a real, I would say a lot of energy, a lot of color, like lovely stuff. But
subjective, right? I mean, we all have to remember that art is subjective. And I think that's one thing that is, it's not always taught that art is subjective. You know what I mean? Because I can look at something and I can go, I'm not a fan of the art, but I see what the artist is doing. I see the talent they have in their style. You know what I mean?
Cool.
I try to bring on artists, and I mean, everybody can vouch for me in this fact that I try to bring on different styles. to show people the different types of artwork that are coming out right now and people's own personal styles. Lee's is great. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the way it paints paper. You know what I mean? But there's like we look at things, and not just subjective with art itself, but writing is subjective as well. You know, there's a lot of folks that'll be like, well, I don't like Stephen King. Okay. You know, look at that. Jeez.
That's so the Leigh Chalker pencils. I inked them.
Oh, man.
Looked by Dave Dye.
So good.
That is awesome.
I know that he was super excited about it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's the one. That's the one thing I love about our community down here in Australia is, you know, like having been friends with everyone and stuff like that, and meeting people. You know, like we've spoken about it previously, that in the past you couldn't reach the, you know, like a lot of folk, you know, like as easy as it is now. But, you know, you've got mates who, you know, like Dave Dye, who's doing that, you know, like just people in general, just the whole community. And that's what I enjoy about this, is allowing people to see Dave's artwork in his comic books overseas. And, you know, we get Dustin seeing your guys' work over here and stuff. And artwork is subjective, creativity is subjective, but, you know, support and getting it out there and things like that, mate, it's a beautiful thing. So
I was very nervous when we went to put BGD out. I was so nervous. I didn't know what people would think because the anthropomorphic stuff it's always a hit or miss, just like any other form of art. You know what I mean? When we put something out, you know, you wonder if people are going to get down with it. You wonder if people are going to feel, you know what I mean, what's up with it. But like our books are $5,000 to $7,000 in production. Yeah, just in production. You know what I mean? So then you're going, man, I can't afford to have misses. You know what I mean? So how are they going to feel about this anthropomorphic retired mercenary Allosaurus that owns a gentleman's club? You know what I mean? How are they going to feel about it? And I mean, it was my best-selling book to date. You know,
really
my best-selling series yet. And then right now we've got If It Hops, the first full issue coming out at the end of this month, because we're in, you know, April now, which will be fun because we're doing an Easter cover for that as well, which should be great because it's a bunny rabbit. So I'm excited about it, but I was so nervous, right? I was so nervous about how people would vibe with the book and what they would think. And we started putting covers out, and people were all about it. You know what I mean? It was a great experience for us to find that people.
You got one there, mate? You got a cover there to show us?
Yeah, hold on, and I'll give me a second. I'll let Leigh run the show for a minute, and I'll bring a couple of them.
I think, like, when it comes to BGD, though, mate, like we've spoken about with Ethereal, is like there's just so many different flavors you can get from the packet of Ethereal. You know what I mean? You've got the Listener, you've got BGD, you've got If It Hops, you've got Greed, you know, you've got your other IPs that are coming out. Like, look at that beautiful thing.
There's some nice covers for the Listener out right now. Some beautiful covers.
Look at that.
That's the Listener. Yeah, right.
Absolutely. I mean, the Listener is live right now, and we've got some beautiful covers.
World War II, isn't it, mate?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've got some beautiful covers for that particular book out right now. We've had a lot of fun with it. Like a lot.
What's he done there? He's chopped the head off something.
Yeah. So we have, like I mentioned earlier, we do a lot of theological entities in the Listener series. Yeah. I mean, the book is about a Native American soldier that inherits the ability to see and interact with supernatural entities.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And he gets pulled into a war that he doesn't even know exists, because his father was the Listener before him and his grandfather before him, but he didn't believe in it. You know, his alcoholism riddled the Native community, you know, so he just thought his father was a drunk and seeing things and hearing things when he was a kid. So it caused a separation between those two individuals, you know. We drop a lot of that in the story of the Listener so we can show people how things were and how they interacted. I really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. It's an absolute blast putting that book out. We've had nothing but love from the fan base for that series.
Right. Wow.
It's. I mean, I really enjoy it. Eric kills the artwork for it. You know,
it certainly does.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. But you know, we built right now. We've got 5 running IPs right now with Theater 7 coming out, which I'll show you guys the Theater 7.
With that listener, Dustin, they're in the Pacific War.
So they're in China in the listener, and they're pushing out Japanese insurgents. In that particular campaign. But the listener's tied heavily into my family history because my great uncle Les served in Vietnam. And he was one of the first native Green Berets. So I thought that was really cool. And when he died, I wanted to tell the stories, but I was like, man, how am I going to tell these stories without spicing them up in different ways? And a lot of people are more educated in World War II than they are Vietnam. So I changed some things a little bit. You know, I changed the campaigns up a little bit and stuff to show the characters off. But it's such a privilege to tell that story. I've had nothing but respect for everybody involved in it.
Well, you got that photo as well of you on the back of the comic.
Oh yeah,
you at the statue.
That's my Uncle Les. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a great photo, mate.
I appreciate it. I will keep the stories alive as long as I can possibly keep them going.
Yeah, right, mate. Well, that's a bit like this Anzac book that I wrote there.
Yes, sir.
At the front of that, I've got the dedication there. Where is it? Here, there's 3 names there that it's dedicated to.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the first 2, the Lupkes, they're my mother's uncles.
Oh, wow. That's phenomenal.
The first top one, he died in Egypt back there in 1915.
Oh, wow.
The second one, Frank, he was wounded at Gallipoli. He was wounded about 3 or 4 times over a period of a week. So they didn't actually put down on his record which day he was wounded, but it was in that time.
Yes, sir.
And the bottom name there is my aunt's father, Viner Jones. He was wounded on the first day of the landing, got shot in the knee, and he had a limp ever since. And he was a real athlete before that, which was a real shame, but he never stopped him. And I met him. I met that fellow actually, Mr. Jones. We always called him Mr. Jones, but nice old fella.
That's awesome. I'm trying to right now grab a couple of covers for If It Hops to show you. If It Hops, a lot of people, I think it's fun because a lot of people have been like, it's pretty, it's beautiful. I mean, it really is beautiful. But a lot of people have got this, and I guess I created this, right? Because perception is half of the battle, right? So it's a beautiful book, and you see this beautiful, voluptuous character, but she's like really like this badass, like almost SWAT team individual for the police department, a lot of fun, but the story is very dark, and it's a very a different take on things. And I wanted to show people how we could make this beautiful world, just like we've done with BGD. Whereas BGD is bright lights, big city action type of deal. If It Hops is almost like a low key type of thing like that. It's not a huge city. It's more like almost like a giant farm that's grown into a city. It's very interesting. Here's one of the covers for that book. Gabriel wrote that one.
Right. That looks a bit like Lana Luca, mate. You know, Lauren Marshall?
Yep. We were just talking about that the other night.
Oh, were you?
She's got the jackalope.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, jackalope. Yeah.
And this is Agent C. She's a rabbit. So we have a lot of fun with her.
Yeah, they're looking good, mate. Real good.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we have 32 members on Ethereal's team roster right now.
Mate.
And then we're doing the preview at the end of the month this month for Theater 7, which is a lot of fun. We've brought on thank you, Shawnee. She says, so excited for If It Hops. Going to be interesting to see the juxtaposition between the beauty of the art and the grittiness of the story. I absolutely agree. I'm excited to see how people react and how people feel about it. Early reviews are phenomenal, and I'm so very grateful. If you're not quiet, I will eat you.
You're talking to me.
It's usually my two.
Leigh, he's talking to you. All right.
He's absolutely rotten.
Actually, I thought that was Leigh's stomach grumbling. I thought you had breakfast, Leigh.
No, she's rotten. She's a good dog. But there's this concept where we're taking all this beauty and trying to show you how dark this world really is. Like we've got, I don't know, 2 really brutal deaths in the first issue, and they're beat cops. You know what I mean? They're uniformed officers that get jacked up by this character that's supposed to be in prison, is no longer in prison, and everybody's trying to figure out how and why this individual is no longer in prison. But it's a very the first issue is very much introduce you to the cast. The second issue you'll get a real big throwdown for that book, and then the third issue we start getting into the meat and potatoes of what's going on with you'll meet Agent C or Agent K. Sorry, everybody's blowing me up about Agent K because she's a lioness. She's this really pretty but gigantically swollen, built out character and stuff. Big old, like bodybuilder type character. But she's like so sweet that she wouldn't hurt anybody if she didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like if it's in the job, it's in the job. What's going on, Jake? How's it going, brother? Oh no, I wouldn't feed my dog to Ricky. I'm thrilled. I got a great comment actually earlier this evening. Yesterday, by Mike Bingston. Great guy. He was like, I'm thrilled that you could do a issue of a book with a male character nude the entire issue almost and not see his junk. And I was like, it was a fun thing to do because we put our character in this like bathhouse for the second issue, and they're trying to kill him in this bathhouse. And we used the smoke and the steam and stuff.
Hide the bits.
Yeah, hide the bits. You know what I mean?
I never worry too much about
comes in handy. Hide the bits.
Let me see if I can find a page for that.
Let me see if I can find you son of a line with.
But that's the beauty of comics, isn't it? That you can, like we were just saying, you can have these very serious underlyings of story and storytelling set, with anthropomorphic characters or set in the world of your creation. I mean, with Battle for Bustle, I've got very serious, topics that are set in a dystopian science fiction world,
Absolutely.
So we can get our messages across through creativity and choosing our different methods. What do you got for us there, Dave?
A bit of male nudity.
Well, everybody needs a little bit of male nudity every now and then. You know what I mean? Just to balance the scales a little bit.
Yes.
You remember that scene?
Amazing Tales issue 2.
Yeah, that's the tar pits of doom.
I don't ever want to be stuck in the tar pits of doom. I'll say that.
No.
There you go, Dave. I got one for you.
All right.
That's a page.
Yeah, that's the one, eh?
Yeah, that's a page out of BGD. Mad fun. Really, it's a thrill to be putting that together with Blade and Hunter. I'm a huge fan.
You know what you were saying too? You were saying earlier about
get out of here with that nonsense.
Cheeky Jake. You were saying before too about how If It Hops is set in like this beautiful setting of like a farmland, trees, that sort of stuff. It's sort of one of my favorite filmmakers is David Lynch. And the one thing I love about David Lynch is the fact that you can have those lovely houses, mowed lawns, the white picket fences, the roses and stuff. And, as you sort of go from the surface, it looks very pretty. But as you go down into, like the grass and into the dirt, you see the bugs and you see what's
like
there
blue
before
velvet,
you.
mate.
and there's layers and layers.
Absolutely. Well,
is that Blue Velvet you're talking about?
Blue Velvet, man. I love that movie, but I'm a sucker for David Lynch. I'll watch anything that dude does. Actually, you know what's funny? On Netflix, he did a 17-minute short film, and it's called What Did Jake Do? And it's about a monkey. And man, seriously, watch it. It is hilarious, man. It's so funny. You'll understand. It's a monkey that falls in love with a chicken. All right.
No.
Yeah. And the monkey is in jail. All right. And David Lynch.
I need Spedsy to do all the dialogue for this.
Oh, he could have, mate. In actual fact, you can ask Spedsy next week because he's on the show. So you might be able to get an idea of him about
I do want to say
there's a Spedsy.
That's it right there.
Too many chooks.
Too many chooks. I love it. So the city is actually is more like it's like a normal type of city, but what I meant by being woodsy and farmy is the fact that it's literally trees growing up through these buildings and stuff. So you're talking about like that. If you look at the top panel, there's a branch, and they're growing through the actual buildings.
Yeah, right.
So they're not so you literally have flora in your homes. You know what I mean? Because they're part of the buildings.
Who did that art, mate?
That's Bladen Hunter. He also does BGD.
Right.
He's a beast, Dave. And he makes me jealous.
Well, he's not afraid to do backgrounds, which is good. A lot of artists nowadays are scared to put backgrounds in.
Oh man, let me find something cool.
He's honest.
I love working with him. He is my art director. He was one of the first full-time employees that came on to Ethereal Comics. He's a beast, man. We have like I said, I'm very grateful. Our teams are phenomenal folks. They're all crazy talented. It's beyond belief, some of these pages that they've put out. I'm really trying to find page 1 of BGD issue 1 because he gives you this massive cityscape just to show you the scope of what there it is. Show you the scope of what you're going to because the whole book runs this way. You know what I mean? When we put it together, it's the entire book is the. I will better stop. I mean, there's got to be 100 individual characters in that page.
Real Blade Runner sort of vibe to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted it to be like a cyberpunk. You know what I mean? Very futuristic looking.
All the neon lights and stuff.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I can't tell you how fun it was to run with that. And then, we've also got our book Greed. We actually just did issue 2 of Greed not long ago, which was a great fun. And we did our first blacklight cover for that book. Oh, so that was really interesting.
Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning when you run the black light over it. All pops real bright and stuff.
Yeah, right. Who's that, mate? Is that April?
April did that one. Yeah. Actually, we've got
artist.
April Reyna. Yes, sir. She's
the artist. Wow.
Phenomenal artist. We've got a show coming up with April in no time flat. Holy cow. Later on this month, we've got Suncoast Comic Con. It'll be me, her, and Jen Leonard doing that show.
You got a convention, right?
Oh man, I'm booked solid for
lucky
the next
you.
6 months. Solid.
Are they close, or you got to do a lot of traveling?
Oh, there's a BG page.
Nice,
a couple panels out of it. But no, I've got to. I drive a lot.
Yeah, right. Price of fuel, mate, it's going crazy.
Right, like Shawnee, I'm telling you that I love his artwork. He brings my characters to life like no other. But yeah, gas is getting crazy. I've got the show that's later this month. I've got a book signing this weekend coming up about 2 hours away. Then I've got the actual convention later this month at Suncoast, which is about 12 hours away that I'm driving.
Yeah, right. You're driving?
Absolutely. I have too much product not to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because right now, this year alone, I'm sitting on 9 different issues and 8 to 12 covers per issue. So I've got a ton of product, and then I bring these massive banners and stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
So
you got a couple of tables. You'll have to have a couple of tables, mate.
Yeah, I always do. I try to do 2 on most shows. But this one will have 2 8-foot tables. And then because of the fact, like I said, I'm bringing April and Jen with me, and they both are ethereal artists, so they'll have a table that they're splitting between each other, and then I'll have a main ethereal table. We've got some exclusives coming out from that show that are beautiful. Holy cow. Have you seen the exclusives for that show, Lee?
No, man. I possibly have, but
I think I've shown them to you. Hold on, I'll grab them while we're sitting here. But they came out really, really good. Jen did one and April did one, and April colored both of them for this show. I couldn't believe how I was blown away, like literally blown away by them, by what we've got coming out from them for that one. But a lot of news from Ethereal going on right now, guys. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. We just brought on a new artist, which he's phenomenal. And this is an exclusive for us because we haven't even talked about this to anybody. We've got a book coming out later this year called Fallen Leaves, which is going to be absolutely awesome. I absolutely love her too, Shawnee. I love her to pieces. Let me download.
So that's a one-shot story, mate. Just complete story.
Nope. All our books are ongoing. We've gotten to the point with Ethereal now where I'm putting a book out every 5 to 6 weeks. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, by August, I'll be putting out 2 books a month.
Yeah, right.
That's my goal. But here's April's exclusive.
Oh, wow.
That show.
Yeah, nice.
Good one.
That's an 11 by 17 print. It's going to be phenomenal. They're all numbered and all signed and stuff. So
I've seen some rabbits in my time. I've never seen any like that.
That's a good bunny, man. That's a good bunny right there.
Jeez.
Don't get him started on the bloke that sent him a message telling him that he hadn't had the body, the anatomy corrected.
Man,
His rabbit. That's a story for another time. But it's got under his skin, that one.
I was angry. I don't get angry very often, but I was like, "Are you for real?"
Maybe.
I don't know if I even believe you're serious right now.
I think he must have been joking. He'd have
That's
to be
provided
joking.
me many chuckles, that thought. Like when I've been down in the granny flat drawing, man, and I've, you have these random thoughts while you're, drifting through drawings, and I sit there chuckling away. What made that?
What? The concept. Why would you even attempt?
My God, I've got to find Dustin and tell him.
I am absolutely batshit crazy. That's but normally there's a method to the madness. You know what I mean? And speaking of madness, here's a piece before it was completely finished. I'll get you guys get a peek of it. This is Jen's exclusive for Suncoast that April was coloring. So we had a lot of fun with that one. That was a good one. So they're 11 by 17s, and they'll all be signed and stuff, and special to each individual. You know what I mean? And I think those of you guys that show up to that show, if you spend more than $15, the ladies will personalize them for you with a doodle. So they're going to be pretty good. Shawnee, I'm going to tell you something really cool because you're here with us tonight, and you always are. You're a great person to chill with and whatnot. But because you're in the Ethereal Club, you'll get those. They'll be made available to you. They'll be made available to anybody in the club that doesn't get to go to the show. So one thing about those to y'all, though, if you so choose to get them whenever, because I'll have them for you. If you want them or not, they'll be artist proofs. They won't just be one of the 30. They'll be AP proofs for you guys. So Really, really excited about that and able to do that. And the new website that I've been busting my ass on for like a week, that thing will have all of that intel for y'all. Oh, for sure, man. I don't want you guys, just because you can't drive all the way across the fucking country doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to get cool shit. That's ass. That's not even beginning to be cool. So
Yeah.
I like the fact you look after your mates, mate. You know, like
dude.
all the people in the ethereal, umbrella.
And look here, I'm so grateful, like no bullshit whatsoever. And I know Dave hasn't seen them, I'm sure, because I'm sure I'd have heard about it from him if he had. But we did these pillows, right? So
right. No, I haven't seen them. I heard something about them, but yeah. Righto. Where is it? You got one there?
Oh, well, I'll show you one. I can't leave it up for very long.
No, you got to hold it. I want to hold. So you're holding it.
Oh, I don't have them yet. I ordered them. I did order them, but I can probably show you the art for one of them. I'll show you the art from Steph.
I wanted to see the product, mate.
No, I don't have them yet. I did order them though, so we'll be getting them shortly. That's
when you get them, you put them up. All right.
So we
you won't be doing much sleeping if you get your head on one of them in the bed, will you?
Oh well, you will if you get the ones that have the implants. They come with implants. So,
all right.
But I'll say this: I'm very, very grateful for the fans.
I can't imagine what that's going to be like.
We'll have them live. I'll show them to you guys when they come in because I ordered implants of mine, so you guys will get to see what they're like.
Right.
I should get like full body pillows of Hanson. The only problem is there'd be like 150 hands poking out of this thing. I don't know whether it'd be that comfortable to lay on.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
that's right, Shawnee.
But there's I had to. They're expensive. You know what I mean? It was a marketing thing for us because I wanted to see if people would enjoy them, what they thought about them, yada yada. So we ended up doing 3 different versions by 3 different of our artists, and we love the ideas that came in. So we did all 3 of them. But when you start talking the art and then you start talking the production and stuff, the pillows run about $300 a piece. You know what I mean? Just for production, especially with the implants. Implants, everybody joked. They were like, oh, yeah, I'm getting implants. Those implants are real silicone.
I was going to say, are they silicone?
They are. They're real silicone, and they're $100 a pop.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? So for a pair, they're $100. You know what I mean? So
I was in Thailand once, and I was catching a plane back home to Oz, and I was just sort of looking around, and suddenly out of the corner of your eye you catch something unusual, and it was a pair of tartars coming around the corner, and just after the tartars was the girl.
Oh gosh, after the girl.
Just got them made that big that they came around the corner before she did. Unbelievable. Everyone in the whole airport went, what?
The joke about the pillows was this. I didn't know they had implants, okay? I had no idea. So when I'm ordering them, I've got 8 orders that were going out, right? Oh, they really, really were. So I had 8 orders going out. And I love our fans. Our fans are the best. I don't give a shit what anybody says. We have the best fans out of anybody. I get to the end of the order, and I'm talking to the dude, and he goes, oh, yeah, tatas that have their own zip code. Exactly. So I get to the end of the order, and the guy's like, hey, do you want the implants? They come in A to F. And I was like, shut up. He was like, I'm not messing with you. You know, I was like, cool, look, I have to call these people and ask them if they want implants in their pillowcases. So, needless to say, everybody but one person got Fs in their pillowcases. So, super glad I called that guy back. But it was so fun because it was literally to have a good time, right? It was like literally we were just seeing if people would enjoy the different types of swag, And I was like, man, this is really expensive. And I remember Heather going, no one's going to get those because they're so expensive. And I was like, and she was like, how much are we making off of them? And I was like, $15 a pillow. And she was like, shut up. We're not doing pillows ever again. Next thing you know, not 4 days later, we had submissions from more of our artists that wanted to do pillows. And I was like, well, we've got to do them. You know, everybody wants to get in on it.
Yeah,
And it was so exciting to me that everybody that ordered them with implants. I just thought that was the coolest damn thing, you know? So then after we did the pillows, I had joked about skateboard decks. Like I used to skate a lot as a kid. I joked about it. I was like, oh, we're going to skateboard decks just to see if anybody would be interested. And all of a sudden, I've got artists that are like, hey, we want to do skateboard decks.
Yeah,
we'll put ethereal characters all over skateboard decks.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is they're not stamps. So like they're not mass produced. They're literal original art. These guys are putting right on it. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
And I've been thrilled with that.
One of our artists over here, comic artist Ed Kearsley, does that. He's a skating board fella, and he does his characters on the skateboards, and he's had a few orders for them, I think.
I love it. And
people love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Well, it's a Tata loving crowd. That's right. I love the fact that we're Tata loving crowd. Absolutely.
That's right.
I'm a fan, but I'm also going to say this. I'm a fan of good storytelling. You know what I'm saying? I'm a huge fan of good storytelling. So if I can give you everything you like in one place, and I've brought the price down lower than almost every other indie publication right now, I don't see why that people, it's a very touchy thing here in the United States right now, like because prices of books have gone up consistently over the years. I remember owning a brick and mortar and Marvel putting out issues for $9.99 at one point, and they do it every couple months. And I was like, man, I got my order in, and normally I would pay $1.50 to $1.75 for an issue of Spider-Man.
Yeah, right.
And my orders were like super, super high. And I was like, what's going on? They were like, well, they were $9.99 this month for Spider-Man.
Is that a bumper issue, like about 60 pages or something?
Yeah, it's a roundabout, but but people are like, people don't expect that. You know what I'm saying? You walk to the shop and it's $3.99 normally, and now their issue's $9.99.
Yeah.
Not everybody can afford that all the time. You know what I mean? So it was like, well, when we got into the indie market, we were doing $20 to $30 per issue is what we started with, because that's the norm. You know what I mean? That really is the norm in the indie market. And we do card stock. Like all of our books are card stock. And it sets them apart, I think. But I was like, man, I don't want to charge people any more than I have to. You know what I mean? So we dropped the price down to $14.99 for every issue. And with the exception of like variants and whatnot that they can get for $20, none of them are going higher than 20. But we are offering foils, which are great. They're beautiful, but we're also doing there's a few of us that are doing them now, but we do metals too. So like your cover is actually a beautiful metal cover when you get it. So what are the buyer, the purchaser, that they get, and how many pages for that, Dustin? So my books being cardstock, like I mentioned before, which is more expensive than newspaper stock. So you're getting cardstock, but you're getting 24 pages full color on every issue I put out. And it doesn't matter what artist is doing the cover. See, that's one thing that a lot of people do is they go, well, I'm putting out a so-and-so cover. It should be this much. And my opinion of it is this. If I bring in an artist, and let's say one artist charges me $200, one artist charges me $500 for a cover, okay? Let's say. I'm still going to charge you the same amount for the guy that charged me $200 versus the guy that charged me $500. You know what I mean? You're still going to get charged $14.99. Because of the simple fact that I don't do variant covers for a cash grab. I do them because I want you to have the book that you find most attractive when you look at them. That's what I want, because now I can go, okay, well, Shawnee likes this artist, or Jake likes this artist, or whoever would have you likes this person or this person, and I want the fans to be able to read the story that they love, but also be able to not have to go, oh, I really don't like that cover of that issue as I'm going through here. I don't care for that one very much. And recently with BGD, all of our books started breaking even a few, I don't know, 8 months ago. You know what I mean? But with Greed, it did a little over, and I was so excited about it. And then we did BGD, and I was able to pocket a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. I felt really, really good about it. And then we put out BGD2, and it was like, well, now we're at 5 digits. And I was like, okay, well, I feel real good about it now. You know, to be fair, 1,500 pre-sale out of that was for the If It Hops preview book.
Yeah, right.
You know, I think If It Hops is going to do really, really well.
How do you get on with your distribution, mate? How do you organise distribution? You got different people around different spots around the country selling your stuff, or it's all through you?
So yeah, BGD is my heart and soul right now, Shawnee. Absolutely. So for distribution, I do it all out of my house versus we have 4 shops in the US that sell our books too right now.
Right. Yep, that's good.
And I reached out to Diamond to see if they were interested in putting BGD in there because it's our most profitable book so far. And they like the book, but they don't like my price point. I'm okay with them not liking my price point. I had a conversation with Steph Wilson about this very same thing. If I lower my price for them to put it in their magazine, okay, if I lower it for them to put it in there, how does that look for the Kickstarter buyers that are spending $14.99 on it? I refuse, because that's our fan base. That's the fan base. So if we start looking at things and we're like, all of a sudden it's all about the bottom dollar. Cool, look, it does pay my bills. This is a full-time job. I don't want anybody to ever think otherwise. You know what I mean? But I've never been at it to be rich. That's never been my goal. It was to in the beginning. In the beginning, it wasn't even a job. It was like I just wanted the stories to be alive, you know. And then all of a sudden, it was a job, and it was cool. But I'll never go at it to get rich. That's never the goal. So as long as I can pay for the roof over everybody's head, and the kids are happy and fed, and everything else, and we can get the books out to people and they enjoy them, that's where I'm at.
Well, if you're doing that, you're doing pretty good, mate. I reckon.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think in a year. We put out the listener issue 1 at the end of 2020 is when we put the book out. And we're in the first quarter of 2022, with 33 teammates, I own 3 different businesses, and it's not doing anything but getting better. And I'm thankful. I'm grateful to all the fans. I'm grateful to, I'm really grateful to Kickstarter. They did something really cool for us. And it wasn't because of us. I'm not anything special. It wasn't anything like that. But they put us on Coffin Comics campaign when they were like, if you like Coffin, you'll like Ethereal.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, I can't pay for that kind of advertising. You know what I mean? I mean, that's
pretty good, man.
Yeah. Oh man, Brian Polito's a great guy. I've met him a handful of times. I've hung out with him once. Great dude. But I still couldn't afford, even with a buddy discount, to be an ad anywhere near Coffin.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good thing, mate.
They put us on it, and it did really well, and people have been about it since. But I think that we're not doing. Oh, absolutely. I think that we're getting to this point now where the name is known. It's not just like we're just like no one knows who we are anymore. People know that we exist. And that's why, if you look at Theater 7, I think Theater 7 is going to do phenomenal as well. I really, really do. Because you've got Devin Massey doing all the interior artwork for Theater 7. And Devin's been in the game a while doing Cave Woman for a long while, man. And people enjoy Cave Woman. So I think they're going to enjoy Theater 7 with Devin's humor. Because I wrote the stories for Theater 7, but I'm letting Devin go ham with it, and he can do whatever he wants. I'm not putting any strings on him for that book at all. He can, run it wild, which will be interesting because I don't think he has any books in color, like full color. So it'll be really cool to see He normally does the whitewash and stuff like that. So it'd be really cool to see what it looks like for full color for him.
Grey wash, yeah.
Yeah, man.
That could be that's very attractive to an artist.
I've got a page here with a bit of grey wash on it.
Time too, mate, to have freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. See, it's so cool. That's what he normally does for sure. Yeah. So he'll get full freedom and he'll be able to do whatever he wants. But that's super dope.
Look at you go, Dave.
That's a flashback scene. So it's a bit different to the normal pen and ink, brush and ink, and
it's
then a
so cool
flashback.
You know, I'm glad, Shawnee. I'm so grateful for all the folks that have been backing our books since the beginning. Like, I'm so grateful, because when people come in and they're like, "Hey, have you seen The Listener?" I was in ICCC, the show, last year, and it's in Nashville, about 45, 50 minutes from my house. And mind you, this is the big world, right? Like, all my books until recently, we were pushing them internationally until recently. And now I do digitals for international buyers because I don't feel like people should have to pay for that shipping. But anyway, I'm at the show, and we hadn't even put Greed out, right? Greed was, talked about, that it was coming out. And I was sitting at the table, and I was super excited to be there. It was my first show by myself with my books, right? So proud of myself, outside of selling books, because I've done shows for years selling other people's books, But I was there my first time with my books, and I'm chilling, and I'm so excited. And this dude walks up, and he's like, "Oh my God, he's got issue 2." And I was like, "Can't be talking about me, right?" And then he goes off, and he gets his wife, and they come back together, and they grab like every cover from issue 2.
Wow.
And it was such a phenomenal experience to be known, and then all of a sudden it was like, we put out more books. We'll see what people think. We'll put out more books. And at the end of this year, we've got, like I said, we've got Theater 7, the preview coming out this month with If It Hops. And then we're putting out this book called Fallen Leaves later this year. And
it's good when people come back to you to buy. They bought off you 1 year, and the next year they come back to buy again.
Yes, sir.
I had a fella come back to the table one time. He says, "Oh, you said you haven't got any new posters. I bought them all last time, and you haven't got any new ones. I've framed them all, and they're all up in the house. I was hoping you had some more." I thought, "What? Really? I never heard anyone say that to me before. You framed
everyone in Australia should have a Dave Dye drawing, mate."
Right?
I agree. That's really, it just makes your whole convention when you get someone come up to you like that, or like you're talking about, people come back. "Oh, I've got number 1. I want number 2," or that just makes you feel good.
Well, they're the little things that do make you feel good, because believe it or not, like any creator or artist, mate, we spend a lot of time by ourselves in little spaces, with nothing but our thoughts and like what's in front of us. Hey, sometimes, mate, there's not a single person in this world that doesn't do this that would never have had a doubt. About
what you showed me a picture yesterday or the day before. What are you working on, mate? What's that you
that's something that Ryan Veller and I are doing, mate, like a little love project that at further down the track we'll let everyone know about that, but just for the time being we're keeping that one between ourselves. So I like to just flick you a little. This is what I've been doing, because mate, I've been I've got I've had Battle for Bustle come issue 4 out this year, and Ring Around the Rosies come out, and then I've got Marathon Part 2, the short story, come out with Comex Noir 4.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see them when they get out. I've ordered them, but I haven't got them yet.
Good stuff.
And they shouldn't be far off, I suppose.
And then I've been a bit quiet the last month, but I like from showing things, doing my scribbles, but I haven't been quiet. Like, I've been flat out, but I just haven't. Don't get me wrong. There's a part of me is like, "No, I'm putting it up," and then there's another part of me that's like, "No, don't do it.
Don't put it up yet. We're not ready for it." I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So I do show you guys, here and there, but I won't whack them up to show.
Well, let's do this. Let's at least give people this, okay? While we're on this topic, so we've talked about having 3 companies. We've talked about doing a bunch of things. I have Leigh. Actually, Leigh came to me about it. About doing this awesome story that he and Tam are putting together, and it's phenomenal. I think that you guys are going to have a lot of fun with it. All I'm going to say is 3 letters, and they're U, F, and O. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I think that you'll enjoy it. Coming out of the Chalker camp, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And
it has been a lot of fun, actually, man, because it's like we've said, it's something different for Tam and I. So it was an idea that we've had, I guess, percolating for a long time. And just from talking to Dustin in the last couple of months, Dustin gave me a bit of a, why don't you put some pen to paper and stuff and have a little, play with it. And then as Tam and I do, we sit, talk, write notes, do things. And then it suddenly, started forming. And I can tell you at this stage, it's tentatively titled Takeoff. So that's what we're sort of under a working title at the moment. But yes, it's our unusual, I guess, adventure comedy, scary version of a UFO related story. So done in our own way. So I'd like
you
to.
And Tam.
Yeah.
You and Tam. Right.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to see all the UFO action. I think that it's a great concept. All joking aside, Ethereal has no comedy right now. So a few of us have, a few of the team have been beating me up for quite some time about a comedy, and because most of our stuff hits really, really hard, and they were like, bring some comedy, and I'm like, I don't write comedy, but I'm gonna try. And when I got with Devin Massey, he and I were on the same page, 1,000% about how we would do something fun and funny, but with notes of his style. It's all lewd humor. It's all very lewd humor. But I'm trying to get some folks on from that era, of comic books, the 80s and the 90s. I've got my eye on several folks to do covers for that book. I can't drop names because I'm not going to drop a name unless I have somebody working with us.
Yeah, you got to have it in concrete.
I really would like. There's like 3 different folks that I'm like barking at the fence to get them to pay attention to see if they want to come play with us. But there's going to be some really good covers. Like I said, this is just the preview. You guys will get 3 different covers for the preview later this month, which is 8 pages full color. And then when the full book drops, it's a few months after that the full book drops because we've got Greed 3 drops in between that. And with Greed 3, let me see if I have a thing for that. With Greed 3, we actually we brought on Eduardo Garcia to do the interiors for this issue. We have not worked with him before. I don't know that I've shown this page, but anyway, whatever, I'll show it anyway. I'm really excited to work with him. He's a great talent.
Yeah, right.
So he's coming on.
Nice. That's good, mate.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan. So we're bringing him on. Great dude to work with.
Yeah.
It's always tougher than people think. Good I mean, it is definitely out of the wheelhouse.
I always put comedy in my stories, mate. I always I think just about every story I write, there's humor as well as drama, action. I got action, adventure, and comedy, humor in my stories.
I think that it's a great combination. You know what I mean? And it's just not been somewhere I've gone yet. You know what I mean? Because I haven't been drawn in the direction.
This Buffalo Hunter,
right?
It's set up in the Northern Territory, but that's a comedy.
I love it.
Comedy story.
We need more comedy.
Buffalo.
That looks funny.
Gets chased up a paperbark tree. He can't work, and he lights a fire to try and get rid of scare the buffalo away. And this is based on a true story, believe it or not. And the paperbark tree catches a light, and then it burns up. And he's trying to get rid of the fire.
I love how you've got the expletives done.
What's that?
Yeah, you've got the symbols where your fingers.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? That's so funny.
A lot of swearing anymore. So
I love it. I love it. I'm an absolute sailor. In my
piss
book.
On the bloody fire to put it out, and the branch breaks.
I didn't have that happen, but I did get chased by a pig up a tree as a kid.
A pig?
Yeah, like a bull, not like a regular pig. It was a bull. We had a great old time with that on the show a couple weeks ago.
We did indeed. Facebook user Dave Dye is an excellent artist. If you ever want to check it out, Owner Indie, Shawnee put it up before. Comexshop.au is another place to get his work. And Dave, speaking out of school probably here, but Dave's another one on Facebook that's always happy to have a yarn and a chat to people if you reach out and stuff.
I don't get on Facebook too much lately. Anyway, I can show you a heap of fun comedy bits anyway through my comics, my stories, but
they're awesome. They're absolutely phenomenal. We've hit that about an hour and 25-minute mark, so we're going to start cutting it out.
Seems like 5 minutes.
Right.
It does every week.
Must be the jet lag. Must be the time difference. I've only been talking here for 5 minutes.
It's always a good time. Like we always bring on good folks. We always have good conversation. We always try to involve people that are watching the shows. So I'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us. And there you go. That's what I was going to ask for right there. So you can find all Dave's stuff right there at owninindie.com. How cool is that? I love that. I just go ahead. It's like he ain't prepared. Shawnee's so sweet. I just got done building the Ethereal website. There's still a lot of tweaking that needs to be done and stuff, but it exists if you guys want to check it out.
You just wipe all the sweat off the pages, mate, before you hit post, all right?
Exactly. And so I'll say this: none of the mature covers or adult covers, because I don't really do mature, I do adult covers. None of the adult covers are on the website yet because I've ordered these really cool stickers. So the stickers will be covering up stuff on the website, but you guys know what you're looking at. You guys know what you're getting. Here's the website. Like I said, there's a lot I'm working on right now, but you guys will get the gist of it. And you can shop on it right now. You can shop on it. I just have it. It is right there. It is. I'm super proud of it. The mobile app, I am still working on that, so don't expect too much out of the mobile for probably till next weekend. But other than that, the website's coming together, and I think it looks really good. Lee, where can they find you, brother?
Mate, you can find me on battleforbustle.com. You can find me on Battle for Bustle and Marathon Facebook. You can find me on Lee Chalker Facebook, comexshop.au. You can find me here every Saturday talking to other creators and my good mate Dustin up there. So I'm forever around. So, I'm here. Thank you, mate.
Yes,
battleforbustle.com.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, excellent stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the battle.
Oh man, Battle for Bustle is so good. Like it's ridiculous how good it is. Like I fuck with Lee a lot about how many lines he puts on a page. This dude is like, if there's more white on the page than there is,
I don't like it.
It upsets him. Like it's just not okay. Like we need more ink.
That's right. That's right.
My
bloody ink bill's expensive. Let me tell you, mate, it cost me just as much to fill me ink as what it does to bloody fill me car.
That's saying a lot right now with gas prices.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Absolutely.
God. Horrible.
Hey, what I just wanted to say, for anyone in America that is interested in buying my comics, it costs a lot to post them to America. Overseas, it costs enough to post them in Australia, let alone overseas. But if you go to that site, Owner Indie, I've set up digital copies, PDFs, so you can download them, and they only cost, I think it's $2 Australian or something like that, which is about $1.20 American.
Well,
So
there you go.
it costs you nothing, virtually nothing. You download it and have a read, and you get an idea of what my comics are like.
I love it. So we're just so you know, Dave, Leigh and I are working right now on some different things about getting the books printed for you guys over here instead of you having to print and ship. We'll print them over here through my company. So that's something that we're looking at right now. We're trying to help more Australians get over here in the U.S. But that goes hand in hand with what's it called, Leigh? Ethereal Down
Under.
Right.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So we're going to be doing the same with people
Customs.
over there, mate. So we're looking at it at the moment and trying to suss out a few different avenues.
Well,
so
I'm just
should
trying to
have some more info for you in the next, couple of months, I would say. Things take time, like we're doing.
My attorney's on it. I'll say that much. He's working on it. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the pipe. I'm real happy about it. And you just brought up Lana Luca. We're trying to do a lot of stuff with Australian artists and stuff over there. So you'll see a lot more. Leigh is in charge of all this cool stuff. So you guys will get to see a lot more from him.
You had Peter Lane mention he was watching before. You got the Skies.
Oh my gosh! I'm so excited about that book.
Yeah.
I have a 11-year-old daughter, and
I'd love that. I reckon.
Right, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and I have a 3-year-old son. And both of them absolutely love Felix the Cat books and stuff like that, films. And so I'm like, well, a lot of that stuff comes out of Australia. And she was like, oh yeah. So I'm like, okay, cool. So how do I get this to my kids as well? So I'm trying to do a lot of things. And like I said, I'm in 3 companies right now. So I'm really trying to figure out where we're moving what to how we're doing what. But I'm very grateful. Like I said, we've got 33 plus team members in Ethereal right now, and that's not doing anything but growing. So, and my attorney's one of them, and he's a great dude. And he's not like that blood sucking type of attorney that just wants your money every time you turn around. He's the kind that calls and is like, hey, when am I getting my next copy of a book? So I'm like, hey, cool. I need this document done. I'll shoot you a couple signed books for everybody. Can we get this taken care of? But there's a lot going on that we've got, under sea level, you know what I mean? So, and things will start emerging rather quickly. But yeah, I was just told a little bit ago that my daughter picked up H.P. Lovecraft's Horror Tales. So we'll see how that goes for her. I was like, it's going to be boring. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, you're talking about something that was written in a different way than you're used to reading. You know what I mean? Like, so she, my daughter, like I have book upstairs is full of books, right? Bookshelves. And she'll go through and she'll pick out things. I have shelves that she's allowed to pull off of. You know what I mean? And she'll go up there and pick a book out and read a book, yada, yada. Well, she read some stuff by Darren O'Shawn, who did Zombie, The Vampire's Apprentice. He's done a lot of books. But he was, 6 years ago, he was labeled the modern master of horror. You know what I mean? And a great writer. And my daughter read them. The reason I let my daughter read them is because as gory and as rough as he is, he uses no language in his books whatsoever. And there's no nudity and there's no sexual content. So I'm like, yeah, cool. Whatever. You can check them out. But as I know she's sneaking horror movies anyway, we all did it. We all did it. When Blockbuster was around, we'd go up and get the dude at Blockbuster to let us rent movies and shit, So anyway, but he put out these great things, and she was like, well, I really enjoyed these. I'm sure I'll like this. And I was like, dude, that shit started in newspaper clippings. That's where his publications started, man. He wasn't like a writer. He was putting out publications in newspapers. And she was like, are you for sure? I was like, I'm dead serious. This is very different. It's like picking up your first Stephen King novel, right? Like, I love Stephen King, but there's only so many times you can tell me what the color of the grass is on the same page. And I'm trying to explain to her that you just read like the modern dude's books. You know what I mean? This dude that's killing it and smashing it, but it's a lot faster than your older books are because they weren't written that way. And she was like, well, I'm still gonna. I was like, cool, look, check it out. You know what I mean? Don't come back to me when you don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Just, that's your money. Do what you do. I enjoy his stories for sure. I do. But I'm going to be honest when I say this. I think the stuff that was written later is better than the stuff that he wrote. You know what I mean? The shit in his world is written better by people that weren't him. You know what I mean?
Well, I always liked his book, The Mountains of Madness, mate. At the Mountains of Madness. I thought that was a pretty solid read. Slow, but again, done in that sort of, like early century period. But once you find a rhythm, find a rhythm and a beat to it, you can get through it. The first 20 or 30 pages, it's a bit of it. Like when you first hear a song you're not quite sure of, but then on the 10th listen, you're like hammering that thing.
For sure.
Describe it
but again, you weren't 11 years old. You know what I mean?
I was once upon a time, Dustin, but that was a long time ago, man.
You wouldn't remember, Lee.
You were not 11 when you read the book, is all I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is a modern young girl who expects things fast. You know what I mean? Stories got to be fast. Just like the music, you know what I mean? It's got to be fast. And I'm telling her, I'm just like, it's not going to be what you're used to in your wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying?
No, you just got to let them go, mate, and they'll find out for themselves. They can read it and not only read the first half of the story and put it down. Then I will. That's
I'm
what I
did. Stay with y'all for a week or two and see how she likes that with all the fucking drop bears and stuff. Send her over there. What's that nasty ass fish called, Lee? Send her over there to deal with the brown fish or whatever the fuck.
Don't you know what that is yet? The blind mullet.
I didn't even fucking look. I just thought it was funny.
You know what that is, mate?
What is it?
Next time you go to the toilet and do a number twos, you have a look what's floating in the bottom of that.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes a lot of sense. Shawnee, I'm proud of her for. I agree. I'm proud of her for wanting to try something different. You know what I mean? But as a dad, I don't know what it is about dad. You know what I mean? As a dad, I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? But let me try to put you on this. It's like, I don't know. I think she'll enjoy it. I'm a big Anne Rice fan. I've put her on some Anne Rice stuff. It's a shame we lost her not long ago. You know what I mean? But there's an artist. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name. But he worked on a lot of Terry Brooks stuff. He's on my friends list. I just spoke to him the other day.
Not the brothers Hildebrandt.
No, it starts with a B. I can't remember his last name. Very incredible guy because I grew up being amazed at Brooks's books. You know what I mean? So the artwork,
the Sword of Shannara.
Absolutely, man. Or the House of Landover and stuff like that. I was a huge fan. But I love the artwork on the covers. The book jackets were beautiful, right? So his dragon to me was the epitome of what a dragon should look like, with the big horns going off its head and stuff, and the multiple beautiful colors on it, the pinks, the blues and stuff. I was a big fan. So when he added me on Facebook, I was just like, this is the coolest shit that's ever happened. You know what I mean? Because I grew up going, that's beautiful. That's insane. Well, it was until I asked him, I was like, hey, do you want to do a cover for me? Because he's worked it for Dark Horse and he's done some other stuff, And he was like, commission's $2,200. And I was like,
well, you said, I'll buy 6.
Yeah.
I'll get cheaper by the dozen.
I just need a few of them. You know what I mean? Whatever. Oh my gosh, we kids have a knack for turning dads into. Dude, look, if I'm not the bad guy, I'm the great one. You know what I mean? I'm the favorite parent, but it's really more like a 70-30 percentage. You know what I mean? I really don't get that great parent one very often because I'm
on the downside of that.
Yeah, I get the shit into that stick. I get the brown. I'm all like, hey, maybe you should be doing your homework.
Your children, boys or girls, Dustin?
I have a 3-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter.
Ah, right, mate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have that. I have the preteen angst in my house right now.
The what?
Love her
The
to pieces.
preteen angst.
Yeah, I love her to pieces. She scares the shit out of me. You know what I mean? I'm willing to take the dog and hide in the bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I get.
Why is the padlock on the inside of the door, Dad?
The bathroom, mate. You don't want to be in there. That's where women, especially young girls, spend a lot of their time in there. Oh, hang on.
Well, she has. So thankfully, when we moved to Tennessee, our house we're well off here. You know what I mean? So like she has, and that's another thing gets her in trouble because I'm like, hey, you have an apartment upstairs. You know what I mean? You have your own bathroom, your own full bathroom. You know, it's her room upstairs is the size of my first 1-bedroom apartment, like full apartment. And I'm telling her, I'm like, hey, you got to keep your room clean, got to take care of your stuff, da. And then the preteen angst comes. And it's all like Godzilla's fucking coming down the hallway. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm trucking down the stairs, you know, get the dog and save the baby, you know. Yeah. You know, and I was never a girl, so I can't begin to explain what a girl goes through at 11 years old or the genetic changes like that. But they're scary. So love her to pieces, terrified.
Well, good luck, mate.
You know, it's like a force of nature. I love it and respect it, but I'm still scared shitless of it. So anyway, guys, you know where to find us. Thanks for hanging out with us. You know, Dave Dye, man, class fucking act. This guy, love Dave Dye.
He certainly is.
Always glad to see him. Always glad to hear about his projects. But you know where we'll be next week, Lee.
We'll be right here.
Amen.
Same place, same channel.
Here.
And we'll be with one of my other good mates.
You know what? Hey, let's do something fun. Shawnee, you want to come live with us next Friday? You want to hang out with us? We'll bring you on to talk to Spedsy. Spedsy's great.
Do that to her.
Do that to her.
She won't survive.
Spedsy's mad fun. But we'll see. I don't know if she heard me or not, but we'll reach out and see if Shawnee wants to come hang out with us. Shawnee's a great time to hang. Good person. There you go, guys. So we'll have a guest.
There you go.
Next week. She'll come hang out with us. Shawnee's mad fun, and she knows the industry like no other. So we'll have her come hang out, and you guys will get to meet her. I'm very grateful for her friendship. So,
next week, Lee, I'll be heading up your way, mate.
Where you going?
Proserpine, mate.
Are you?
Yeah, got my daughter up in Proserpine. They're living on she owns, her and her husband have got a cane farm, mate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
what's that? That's about 3 hours from me.
South, right? Yeah. South of you by 3 hours, is it? Yeah. So maybe I won't have time to drop in for a cuppa. Sorry, mate.
Oh, mate, I wish you would. You know, but it's a long track. Yeah,
I might have to make the trip too. If Dave's coming, I need to come hang out.
Yeah, mate. Hey, well, I'll get up there one day, Lee, and
we need to
Dustin,
do that.
You better be there, cover.
We need to I'll be here. I was talking to Heather about that at one point, and it's like, it's almost as expensive to fly over there to hang out with y'all as it is to like take a week-long trip here in the States right now.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah.
I'm waiting. I keep looking for all these like cons and events over there. I'm like, man, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna surprise the shit out of Lee, and we're gonna go do some stuff. You know what I mean? I'm gonna call.
You know what's funny, Dustin, is you'll probably turn up and there'll be an absolute truckload of us there that and there'll probably be some difficulty getting to the convention the next morning after
probably.
That.
Probably. And I'm okay with that. I'm so okay with it. As long as you guys don't let anything eat me, I should be okay.
Well, I tell you what, mate, you want to bring a rowboat because everything's flooding at the moment on the east coast, and that's in this time of year. And actually, if it's in the summer, bring a bloody, I don't know, what protects you from flames, mates. You'll get
I don't
burned.
know. What I'm thinking,
Asbestos suit.
truthfully, like no bullshit whatsoever, is I've been thinking about having Leigh reach out to shops in the area and see if anybody wants to sponsor an event, and we'll bring ethereal right to your doorstep. So that's something I've got, tripping around up in here, along with all the rest of the insanity and the scary stories and the Bad Bunny shit and everything else. But yeah, right on. Anyway, guys,
just don't bring that dude with the anatomical questions about agency.
I can't even have that conversation anymore. It's like I'm like, no. So we're gonna do it now, and it's Leigh's fault. So this dude, Dave, I'm sitting here, and I remember I was so proud of myself. Right, I was so proud of myself. It was like the first couple images, for sure, Shawnee. It was the first couple images we'd ever put out for If It Hops, right? And the dude is like, the rabbit isn't correct anatomically. And I was like, I thought he was fucking with me. Like, I really did. Like, I thought he was messing with me. And I was like, well, yeah, she's more along the lines of like a humanoid character than an actual bunny rabbit, And he was like, well, she doesn't have enough breasts. And I was like,
enough.
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand what you're saying. And he was like, well, they have more than that. And I was like, not mine.
Yeah, not this one.
That doesn't make no sense to me. You know what I mean? And I keep thinking he's messing with me. And then he gets irritated with me. Like he's being dead serious with me. And my shit is not right. And like he needs it to be corrected. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm so lost. And I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I was just like,
just tell him to step back, take a deep breath. This is not real, mate. It's a comic.
I had no idea how to even respond when I realized he was being serious. I was like, oh. Well, I'm sorry, sir. I had no clue that wasn't the case. But I don't think it would quite fit my narrative if I gave her more of those. Because I was like, and me, I'm playing it off like, hey, that's too much fan service.
Yeah,
this is not football. You know what I mean? I can't
say, well, the fans don't want to see that. They want to see
they don't want more than two.
No,
and if they want more than two, I can send them in directions of my buddy's books, and they can find more than two. I promise.
And then on the other side of that, I mean, my God, he's going to be paying an arm and a leg for that pillow.
That's right. I hope you bought a pillow.
They were joking with me about somebody. Was it you joking with me about putting the implants in the butt? Somebody was like, I'm not putting them in the front pillow. I'm putting them in the back pillow. And I was like, I don't think that's how it's made. Oh my goodness.
Well, whatever turns you on.
The world of comics.
I'm just in the business of making people happy.
That's all I'm saying. Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. But anyway, with that and Leigh hitting the nail on the head, we're going to call it for an evening. Thank you so very much. We'll see you next Friday. I'll actually also be doing something fun. Saturday, I've got a book signing coming up. Next week. So what we'll do is we'll go live at that book signing, and we'll say hello to you guys. And we'll shoot you some, some cool promos and stuff like that. We'll be with Leigh Iris. You guys know who Leigh Iris is? If not, you need to find out because she's cool as fuck. She's also doing interior artwork for a book for me coming up shortly called, what's it called? Underland. And that should be a lot of fun. So we haven't said really shit about that project because I've been told that I may catch a garrote around the neck if I talk too much about that one. So, because they want to drop. The rest of the team wants to drop that book when it drops. They really don't want any build up for it at all because one of the individuals is only generally a cover artist, so he's very excited to be getting in on it. And I'm not
doing interior.
Yep, it's very cool. Very excited. So we will holler at you guys later. And as always, from Leigh and I, and from Ethereal Comics and our family to yours, thank you very much for chilling with us this evening.
Say good day to Spedsy next week for me.